people talk about legendary vampire hunters in gaming, Trevor Belmont is always near the top of that list. He's not just some random guy with a whip. He's the Belmont who originally defeated Dracula in Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, and basically saved humanity from total disaster. In that game, he teams up with Sypha Belnades, Grand Dynasty, and Alucard, excuse me if I mispronounced any names, and together they storm Dracula's castle and finally take him down. The victory is what makes Trevor a legend in the Castlevania timeline. After that, a lot of people assume Trevor's story ends there. He kills Dracula, saves the world, and disappears back into history. But let me tell you guys, Trevor's journey doesn't end with Dracula's defeat. It continues in Castlevania Curse of Darkness, a game that takes place 3 years after the events of Dracula's Curse, and that's where things get confusing about whether Trevor is dead or alive at the end. So let's break down what really happens to Trevor Belmont after Curse of Darkness and finally answer the question, is he dead or did he survive? So, after Trevor's victory, you'd think the world would be at peace. No Dracula, no demon lord ruling over Wallachia. Sounds like a happy ending. But this is Castlevania. Peace never lasts very long. Even though Dracula was destroyed, his curse still hangs over the land, spreading war, disease, and madness. People are being corrupted, monsters are still around, and something evil is clearly stirring again. That's the world Castlevania Curse of Darkness drops us into. This time, the main character isn't Trevor, it's Hector, a former servant of Dracula known as the Devil Forgemaster. He used to create monsters for Dracula's army, but he walked away because he wanted a normal life among humans. Unfortunately, Dracula's death didn't end his problems. His former friend and rival Isaac still serves Dracula's legacy, blames Hector for abandoning their master, and is plotting both revenge and Dracula's return. What is Trevor's role in Curse of Darkness then? When Trevor enters the story, he's investigating rumors that a Devil Forgemaster is active again, and that Dracula's power might be returning. He's older and more experienced, but he's still the same no-nonsense hunter that we know. You can tell he hasn't exactly retired. He's been traveling, hunting remaining monsters, and watching for any sign of the Dark Lord's influence. When he first meets Hector, Trevor doesn't trust him at all. And honestly, that makes sense. Hector used to work for Dracula, and from Trevor's point of view, that's basically like facing a former enemy soldier. The two end up fighting early in the game because Trevor doubts Hector has truly turned away from darkness. After testing him in battle and seeing his determination to stop Isaac, Trevor realizes Hector genuinely wants to prevent Dracula's resurrection, and they eventually become reluctant allies working toward the same goal. Now let me remind you, the battle with Isaac. Now this is where Trevor's fate gets complicated. While Hector is following his own path, Trevor keeps tracking Isaac, trying to cut off the threat at its source. Isaac's goal is to bring back Dracula's castle and spread chaos again, using the curse and Hector's power as part of the plan. Eventually, Trevor corners Isaac, and the two engage in a fierce fight. Isaac isn't just any ordinary enemy. He's a powerful Devil Forgemaster with dark magic and a brutal fighting style. During their encounter, Trevor is caught off guard for just a moment. Isaac takes advantage of that split second and stabs Trevor in the back, dropping him and leaving him on the ground as he walks away. It's one of those scenes that makes you pause because this is Trevor Belmont we're talking about, the man who killed Dracula, now lying motionless after a cheap shot. The game doesn't show what happens to Trevor immediately after this. He disappears from the story, and the focus shifts back fully to Hector's journey. That's what causes so much confusion among fans, because at first glance, it really looks like Trevor dies right there. No follow-up, no confirmation, just silence. But the true story doesn't end with Trevor on the floor. According to official Castlevania lore, Trevor Belmont doesn't actually die in Curse of Darkness. He's badly injured, almost fatally. But he survives thanks to help from another character in the game named Julia Laforeze. Julia is a witch who helps Hector throughout the game, selling him items and giving advice, and she's also Isaac's young sister. Outside the main cutscenes, lore sources explain that after Isaac stabs Trevor, Julia finds him, heals his near-fatal wound with her magic, and saves his life. One character bio even notes that this shows Trevor's incredible stamina, since a normal human would have died from that injury. Why does that really matter then? Trevor's survival is important for one huge reason: the Belmont bloodline. After the events of Curse of Darkness, he eventually returns home to his wife, Sypha Belnades. Yes, the same Sypha who fought alongside him in Dracula's curse. Together, they start a family, and their descendants carry on the Belmont legacy for generations. If Trevor had actually died in Curse of Darkness, that bloodline could have ended right there, and the timeline as we know it would completely fall apart. There would be no future Belmont heroes like Simon, Just, or Richter to stand against Dracula in later centuries. That's why Julia healing Trevor isn't just about saving one character. It preserves the entire destiny of the Belmont clan. So, if Trevor survives, why do so many fans still think he died? The main reason is that Curse of Darkness never directly shows his recovery in a cutscene. After the stabbing, the story moves on, and the game doesn't bring Trevor back on screen. The clarification comes from external sources, official guides, character bios, and lore write-ups that mention Julia saving him after his injury. On top of that, the way the stabbing scene is presented feels like a classic heroic end. After recovering from his wounds, Trevor steps away from the front lines. He's been fighting since his youth, and the events of Dracula's curse and Curse of Darkness push him to his limits. You could say he finally earned some peace. He returns to Sypha, they settle down, and together they build the foundation for the future Belmont generations. Even though he retires from battle, his legacy lives on through his descendants. Generations later, heroes like Simon Belmont take up the vampire killer and continue the fight against Dracula. Every time a Belmont stands against the forces of darkness, it's possible because Trevor survived that near-fatal encounter and carried his family's destiny forward. So, is Trevor Belmont dead or alive? To wrap it up clearly, Trevor Belmont is alive after Castlevania Curse of Darkness. He was stabbed and almost killed by Isaac, but Julia Laforeze's magic saved him, and he recovered from his injuries. After healing, he returned to Sypha, continued the Belmont family line, and eventually faded from the battlefield to live out his life in peace. So while it might look like Trevor's story ends in tragedy, the truth is that he gets something very rare in Castlevania: a kind of happy ending. He lives long enough to see his family's future and pass the torch to the next generation. He wasn't just a hero who died in battle, he was a survivor who made sure the Belmont saga could continue as we know it.